How to maintain your goals if you have kids. Some parents think it's hopeless trying to maintain any goals they have because they have kids, whether it be fat loss or muscle gain or just trying to be overall healthier. And I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. Fun fact, I used to drive one of these. Not one of these, but a real sized Fiat 500. Had the convertible roof as well. And I could actually drive and see over the windscreen. It also had butterflies on the back. I think it's even more important for you to strive for your goals with kids. And despite the subject being about maintaining your goals, I side with the kid on this a lot because they're made out to be the blame when it's really you. What gives me the right to talk about this? Nothing really, just my opinion and trying to help with simple tips. Any professional in this line of work, get in touch. I would love to speak to you. But before we start this isn't an all in high and mighty video about how I'm a perfect parent and I know what kids want. There are many parents out there who preach and are self-righteous and virtue signalling and by no means perfect. Everyone is winging it at the end of the day. I actually saw a study the other day by Helmsmann that says people in relationships let themselves go because they've already made it in terms of finding a partner. So they don't need to make the effort anymore. And I kind of get that, but again, I think that's bullshit. As a parent, you've got an obligation to look after yourself. Otherwise, what message are you sending that kid? And also, if you don't look after yourself, nobody else will. The whole dad bod thing took off a few years back, which was basically people giving a pass on having to look after themselves. Which again, bullshit. You being a lazy fucker on your couch and putting away microwave meals and takeaways every night and share bags of crisps. What are you teaching that kid? Look at the perfect parent. I am not. I could strangle the little fucker sometimes. I'm obviously joking, but regardless of that, it takes very little effort to make a home-cooked meal every night and go for a walk to blow off some steam. It would do you both the world of good. Why isn't every parent's thought process, I'm bringing a kid into this world, I better look after this little terror as best as I can, but then you chuck it a pot noodle for dinner. That's like getting a dog and not walking it, and then making it eat the cheapest, nastiest, shittiest kibble you can buy, or getting in a relationship and not actually working at it. Bringing a kid into this world and letting it get a fat wee fucker is not being a good parent because you're lazy. Tell me I'm wrong. This subject does really fuck me off sometimes. See, when I see obese parents with obese kids, I could cry, man. It's absolutely terrible. And granted, there's caveats to this with poverty and income and food access, etc. But if you've got access to this video, you can't be doing too bad. You know what also breaks my heart with all these stupid diet followers online? When you see these fuckers who follow them have their kids eat the same way. There's a carnivore follower who does that. She makes school lunches for her kid and it's all meat. Just let them live a little for fuck's sake, like you probably did. There was a story of a family who gave their kid only coconut milk rather than breast milk because they were vegan, and the poor kid died from malnourishment. I mean, how brutal is that? They were arrested as well for child neglect. It was mental. My kid is 4 and her school lunches are free. But imagine I said to them, don't you worry about her lunch, I'll sort it out. And then she pulls out a lamb leg. Other kids have a bit of pizza and have some cake and custard. Those are processed foods, James. Are they? Aye. Because as far as I can tell, they are individual ingredients combined. If you want to go down that route, everything is processed in some way or other. Or you could be the kind of parent who said, those free lunches aren't good for my child. Brilliant. Well, they can go eat grass then, because you're being a fanny. These parents themselves grew up with the odd takeaway on a Saturday night and then some ice cream here and there and the odd McDonald's on the weekend, but you'll not let your kid have one. What do you think they're going to be like when they're 18 and have their own money? They're going to get balls deep in ice cream, bathing in the stuff, just like anyone who's been told not to have it for 18 years. Yes, kids should have a diet mostly of single ingredient foods, like everybody, but let them live a little and have some fun stuff. Same goes for you. Don't both be a miserable bastard. Just because you're miserable with your food doesn't mean your kid has to be. Remember when you grew up and there was turkey dinosaurs and potato waffles and stuff like that? Imagine looking back on your childhood and you just remember quinoa and avocado and spinach rather than the odd Dairy Dunker and the Happy Meal. Any kid is getting bullied if he opens up his lunchbox and there's a sirloin steak in there. Or one of those absolutely disgusting recipes that Coach Carnival fanny makes. Imagine me doing that on top of being ginger. I would not have survived school. So regarding food, here's some tips for you fuckers out there blame their kid for not eating well. Because I'm so helpful, there's also got to be tips in here to help your kid eat better as well. And I've learned that from practitioners from MNU and things like that. Their diet ultimately shouldn't be much different from yours. Whatever you cook, make it basic. That's what they want. There's no 3 or 4 year old asking for caviar and poached salmon mousse or any of that sort of shit. Do you remember your parents making a big fancy flashy dinner? Neither do I, so why should you? I remember a couple of years ago I made my kid a taco bowl and you actually put the ingredients in the bowl and then you eat that afterwards. Did not touch it. I was fuming. All you'll have to do here is make bigger portions of what you're eating. What's probably going to happen is they're going to eat off your plate anyway. Include your kid in the cooking. They'll likely eat food that they help make. Yeah, they're going to make a mess, but so will you. So what's the difference? Kids can be stupid as well. They'll want pizza all the time, but they are very open to compromise. So the kid wants a pizza, make a pizza wrap, which is decent in calories. You won't have boring chicken and rice, but they won't have a burger. Settle in the middle for a chicken breast burger. Try and set yourself up for success. Limit the less than ideal foods from your kitchen. They want to have crisps. Too bad, you don't have any because you did the shopping and you never bought any. Here's a few tips to help your kid eat well. If everything's in arm's reach for your kid, like on the bottom shelf of your fridge, there will come a point where your kid thinks it can just eat for itself. So it'll open the fridge and start grabbing stuff. I bet my mortgage they're got to go for the decadent foods on the bottom shelf. So rearrange your fridge so the healthy stuff is on the bottom and that's all they can reach. And the not so healthy stuff is on the top, so they can't reach it. Anytime the kid wants a snack, make sure it's surrounded by fruit. And if they don't eat their food, just jam it down their throat. I remember a really sad story about a kid at my kid's old childminders. When all of the kids were sitting there eating their sandwiches, he'd pull out crisps and sweeties because that's what their parents gave him. The minder spoke to him and said, listen, this food isn't ideal for the kid. And then they said, you don't tell me what I give my child. And it became such an issue because then all other kids, including mine, wanted crisps and sweeties for their lunch. It got so difficult that the kid then had to eat himself because his parents couldn't be arsed making decent lunches for him. It was quite heartbreaking. Like, anyway, try and exercise when you've got a kid. All that a kid wants is a parent to be a kid with them, and you can make any exercise fun and include them. Go out for a run and let them take their bike. Run alongside them when they're on their bike. You could do shuttles with them in the park running back and forward. Just take them out a walk. It would do you both the world of good. You can get them to take part in baby toddler yoga in the living room. Get them to do similar exercise in the gym as you, if the gym allows you to take in kids. Probably not 4-year-olds though. When it comes down to any sort of serious set, ask them to do something different for 30 seconds whilst you do that. This works for me because I've got a gym in my garage. Even though you might not get your big badass shoulder workout done, what's more important, playing with your kid who'll have a great time with you, or the 1 or 2 sessions that you've missed over the past few months because you were playing with your kid. This obviously might not work if you're a professional performer or athlete. This is more geared towards the people who are just trying to get a little bit more healthy. I would hate to see someone squat like 200 kilos with a kid next to them. I used to watch my kid exercise with her mum in the living room when she did YouTube stuff. It was actually hilarious. Just to quickly touch on selfishness. I sometimes feel bad spending time away from my kid exercising and whatnot. And that may ramp up, especially if you're maybe doing a marathon or I'm thinking of doing a Tough Mudder soon. But even with that feeling, I try to tell myself that for your kid and your partner to get the best version of you, you need to be selfish and work on yourself. There's a reason why pilots tell you to fix your own mask first before anyone else's in an emergency. Because if you don't look after yourself, you won't be able to look after anyone else to the best of your ability. And if you don't, you're just going to be this miserable, short-tempered, dad bod, miserable fucker, aren't you? And nobody wants to be remembered as that, do they? I'm doing everything I can to make sure when I'm 80 years old, I'm still lifting my grandkids up on my shoulders, like my dad does with his grandkids. That's one of the many goals. Hopefully then my kids learn the exact same lessons for their future family. Slight caveat to all these points, I work from home. Whether that happens my full career, I don't know. Who knows? But up until this point, I'll say it myself that I'm lucky. My wife's a nurse who would kill to work from home. So I'm spoiled with the time of my kid. Doesn't mean that I don't want to strangle her sometimes. I obviously say that in jest. I can't love anything more than her and my family. There are days that it can just be too much. But my wife has a good saying. She says, you can hate me some days as long as you still love me. Those days of hate is when she's doing my tits in. I also totally understand that some people are absolutely knackered to even contemplate this. But studies have shown people who exercise and eat well actually end up with more energy. So consider that. Working away from home and being knackered I don't think should change much though. There's still time in your day to prioritise health with a walk and making decent meals. There's a duty of care you need to carry out for yourself and your kid. Tell me I'm wrong. Lastly, anything in here is just my personal experience. I'm not an expert, but I have a 4-year-old who eats like a horse. I also find it funny to share that she wears age 9 clothes. Also, if there's anything in here that's detrimental, I'll take it down. Last point to make is, if you have multiple children, like enough to make a 5-a-side football team or an 11-a-side football team, I'll leave that up to other experts. I hope I never have that problem in my life. So, some quick tips. Communicate with your partner if you've got one. Just say, we're sorting out dinner tonight and then we've got to head to the park and all that sort of stuff. They might even get involved. It's important for you to still be goal orientated as it's good lessons for your kid. If you exercise and work hard in front of your kid, chances are your kid will too. If you eat well and work hard in front of your kid, chances are your kid will too. The way you eat shouldn't be any different from your kid. So be the role model. Obviously, eat mostly single ingredient foods. Sit as a family. If they see you eat these kinds of foods, you'll encourage them to do the same. If they see you eat like shit all the time, they'll likely want to do the same. Include your kid in the cooking. The more they're included, the more likely they'll want to eat that. They'll make a mess just like you'll do, but they'll have fun, and so should you. You'll be surprised at the amount of teenagers who don't know how to cook these days. It's absolutely frightening. Some people are impressed by others who can cook, which is mental as well. Let your kid live a little, just like you did. It's your responsibility, in my opinion. That's us done with the video. I'll see you in the next video.